Hey guys.
Hi.
Welcome back to another episode of The Why of It All. This is episode 12. I cannot believe we're already on episode 12.
I know, it's exciting.
And it's good for me to be back recording. I was so sick last week. Melanie held down the fort, her and her mom, and she just made it happen for us. And so I'm so appreciative of Gary too. I'm so appreciative of her just taking the reins last week so that I could stay home and heal, which I have a hard time doing, but
I'm glad that you did. You did exactly what you needed to do, and you took care of yourself, and you honored your body's needs, and good for you.
Yes. So welcome back, guys. So good to be back. This is a great episode. I cannot wait to dig in.
And you might hear Gary whining. Gary's having some big feelings. The cat. He's wandering around with many complaints.
Yeah.
He wants to be outside, and right now he's not allowed. So he's very upset by that. So if you hear cats complaining in the background, that's just all that. That's just Gary. Just doing what Gary does.
So, have you ever felt like you're clinging to something, not because it's good for you, but because letting go feels even scarier? We get it. Letting go can feel like free fall, like identity loss, like saying goodbye to something that once made you feel safe, even if it's now holding you back. In today's episode, we're not just talking about letting go, we're talking about the fear that keeps us from doing it. That tight grip, that protective instinct, the voice that says, but who will I be without this?
So we're going to be exploring what it really takes to release what is no longer serving us, not from a place of shame or force, but from courage and trust and love. And we'll share our own stories, our resistance, and the ways that we've each found strength on the other side of surrender. If you've been feeling the tug to let go of a relationship, a role, a pattern, or even just a belief that's weighing you down, this conversation is for you. Because the truth is, letting go isn't the end, it's the beginning of coming home to ourselves. But first, before we get into it, of course, we're going to have a word about our friends over at Tulip Blooms.
At the Why of It All, we are passionate about healing mind, spirit, and body. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored by a brand we genuinely love and trust, Epic Minerals. Created by our dear friends Patrick and Ashley, whose passion for wellness runs as deep as ours, Epic Minerals is a family-owned American small business that offers premium, mineral-based wellness products thoughtfully formulated with therapeutic-grade ingredients designed to support detoxification, mineral replenishment, and boost vitality from the inside out. Their product line includes Zeolite Extra, a heavy metal detox spray with humic and fulvic acids, Wellness Extra Capsules, a daily immune support with 72 essential trace minerals to boost energy and optimize cellular function, and Colloidal Silver Extra, a powerful, natural antimicrobial spray to protect against harmful pathogens and boost immunity. Epic Minerals offers powerful nature-based wellness that you can trust because it's healing from the inside out, crafted with integrity, and made with purpose. Head to epicminerals.net and use our exclusive code HEAL, that's HEAL, at checkout for sweet 10% off your order. And remember, when you shop small, every purchase supports a dream and makes a real difference in the lives of a real family. Epic Minerals is more than just a wellness product company. They're part of a healing movement, and your purchase helps to keep that movement growing. It's one of the best ways to support our show and a small business we love and believe in.
All right. Thanks again, of course, to Patrick and Ashley over at Tulip Blooms, big supporters of this show and good friends of ours. Their products are amazing. So do yourself a favor, go check it out. Good stuff. Gina and I both use all of it every day.
Every day. The vitamin C serum in the morning, the castor oil blend at night, the rainfall lotion. Like I'm all on board.
I'm obsessed.
I am too. So let's do a check-in. Because before your mom's episode, we did an episode on morning routines and the good morning text, and we had some amazing talks on our walk that morning, and we had decided to be each other's accountability partners for these new morning routines that we're instilling. So let's do a check-in on that.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first because your accountability is better than mine. So let's hear your success story.
Y'all, I'm on day 22. I have passed the 21 days to form a new habit threshold.
That is
I'm on
so
day 22. I have
impressive.
not missed a single day of waking up an hour earlier than I ever used to. Starting out the morning with my cup of coffee and my journal. I do my journal entry every morning. Sometimes I'm reflecting on the day before. Sometimes I am pre-paving the experiences for the day that I'd like to have. Sometimes I'm just rampage of appreciation. And then I jump straight into my limbic round, and then I do a meditation straight from there. And walking immediately first thing in the morning afterwards. Like, I am, first of all, I'm a little embarrassed at how long it took me to make such a simple change in my life that I thought was going to be so hard.
But it's not simple. It's not. Give yourself a little credit.
I mean, what's
It's
simple about it
really
is
not.
just setting my alarm an hour earlier. Like, to me, that's what the simple step is. Like, I resisted that so intensely for so long. My husband was telling me forever, just wake up an hour earlier and take care of yourself first thing before the day gets going.
Easier said than done.
I know. So I'm really proud of myself. I've been doing it, and I'm telling you,
Should be.
I feel so good.
What shifts have you noticed? What's the one biggest shift that you've noticed since for 22 days ago where you started to now?
It's
What's
just
the biggest
so much
shift?
easier for me to stay in alignment. It's so much easier for me to move through my day in feeling good, feeling happy, feeling refreshed, feeling like I'm in a good place. It's just so much easier to get to the good feeling thoughts and to be in a state of gratitude. And I mean, I love that feeling of having been so productive already by the time I hit the point in the morning where normally in the past my day would have started. I've already done so much, and it feels really good. And here's an unexpected thing that I noticed. At the end of the day, like I'm at the end of the day, I'm done with everything. Either I'm wrapping up in a blanket on the sofa or I'm crawling into bed. It's still 22 days in. I still have the experience every single night of going, oh crap, did I get all my self-care done? And then I go, actually, yeah, I did that first thing in the morning. It feels like it was yesterday. Like a whole day has gone by, and it feels like it was like a whole day ago that I did that. And I second guessed myself, like, did I do that today? I was like, no, that was today.
Yeah.
But it was just so long ago. It's a very fulfilling feeling. Like I'm checking those boxes every day, and having it done first feels so much easier than trying to cram it in later.
And you're recharging your battery first before you start your day.
It's the prioritization of my own well-being, setting the stage, setting the tone for having the day I really want to have. And it's working.
Let me ask you, are you setting your alarm on the weekends too? An hour?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, because like I don't think I was doing that, but I would still wake up and do it and have that be the first thing that I do. But
yeah,
I have to admit that I fell off last week, but I feel like I had a legitimate reason. I was sick. I was struggling all week last week with a stomach flu, and that was brutal. So my schedule was just completely thrown off last week by physical illness, and I just had to give myself grace.
Maybe the self-care you needed was just to lay around and convalesce.
Maybe so, and just to heal my body. And I had to, and I still did check-ins with Melanie, but I'm more of like, oh my God, today, like I couldn't get out of bed, or I tried to get to work and I only lasted 3 hours. And why am I pushing myself? And Melanie had like a real like tough love, like audio message last week, because I was telling you that I was trying to get and do all this stuff and trying to not disappoint people and let people down at work and blah, blah. The guilt from being homesick from work is a big thing that I struggle with, and disappointing others. And you're like, listen, I'm going to give you some tough love right now. I don't care if it pisses you off, but...
Well, I did care if it pissed you off. I was really worried that I pissed you off.
No, that's what I needed to hear in that moment. But
yeah, I was like, Gina, why are you going to work right now? What are you doing?
Go back home.
Go home right now. And you did.
I did.
And then you stayed and you recuperated and you took care of yourself for several more days that you needed.
So I can't say that I have a 22-day streak like you, but I got back on the bandwagon this last week. Things are good. Things are looking up. I'm back to my morning routine.
Good.
Yeah.
And then, so no, I'm not setting my alarm clock on the weekends, but I am still making sure that that's the first thing I do. And my brain,
me too.
My brain, like if I set my alarm during the week, to wake me up at 6 to do the self-care before my kid wakes up at 7 and I got to get her ready for school.
Yeah.
The weekends, my brain is just automatically waking up at 7. So it's just 1 hour delay,
Yeah.
and I still do the things.
Yes. And I love it because on the weekends, I can take more time doing those things. Like maybe my meditation is 5 minutes longer, or maybe my journaling, I take an extra special more time for that. So, but it still is the first thing that I do when I wake up.
And I will also just reiterate too, the insistence on making sure I'm getting outside, getting fresh air, and walking every single day. You know, everybody's exercise routine, whatever works for you, might be different. For me, it's walking, and I like to go walk in the woods, on hiking trails, and things like that sometimes. That has been its own special thing, because what I used to do when I occasionally got around to going for a walk somewhere is I would put my earbuds in and listen to political podcasts. I'd like catch up on the news. And yes, I was moving my body and getting fresh air and exercise, but I wasn't present at all. And I was engaging in something that I'm genuinely interested in. But again, like we talked about in episode 10, like that material's heavy, right? Doesn't stress me out necessarily. I like knowing it, but it's still heavy. What I'm doing now as part of the routine is I'm leaving the earbuds at home and I'm just walking. I'm just walking in nature. I'm listening to the birds. I'm feeling the breeze. I am enjoying the sunshine on my skin. I'm smiling and waving at the people that I pass by. Like I'm present in the moment. And by the end of that walk, I just feel like just so refreshed, so incredibly refreshed and present. So it's like I'm getting more intentional practice on maintaining presence with those walks too.
It's almost like a walking meditation.
Just crushing it.
I love it.
Just crushing it.
Okay. I think it's time to get into this.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into this episode.
Yep.
So Melanie, what beliefs do you think people carry that create a fear or resistance to letting go, even when something is no longer serving us?
Biggest one, probably for most people, I'd have to say, would be the fear of the unknown. That's a big one. I mean, you know, change is hard, even when we know that the thing that we're doing that we need to let go of, whatever we're being, whoever we're seeing, whatever we're engaged in, you know, whether it's relationships or jobs or whatever, like, even if we know that this thing isn't serving us anymore, sometimes there's comfort in familiarity, even if it's not good for us. So fear of the unknown obviously is a big one.
That's a big one. Yes.
Fear of stability, fear of losing control, loyalty to suffering as an identity or proof of survival. Like I know people who are hanging on to beliefs or to wounds or to their stories because it's become who they are.
What's their comfort zone?
Yeah. Or it's their identity. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But, you know, fear of losing who you think you are, even if it's something that's self-limiting. You know, it's fear of failure, fear of abandonment. There's so many different things, but I think generally speaking, you have to let me know if you agree. I think what's underneath the unwillingness to let go is always some fear.
Absolutely. It's probably fear-based. It is fear-based. I know for me, in my life, for me, it's normally centered around the fear of loss of a relationship. That's how it showed up for me most commonly. And more recently, and we'll get into it more, fear of like identity and like fear of like who I am and career changes and big, huge shifts, but still the fear of letting go, which is the name of this episode. It's a great name for our episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. So what have you held on to in your life longer than you knew was healthy? And what do you think kept you gripping so tightly? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to answer
Yeah,
this
why
first?
don't you go first on that?
So for me, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is dysfunctional relationships. Relationships where I know that they have passed their expiration date. I know that it's no longer serving me. I know that in my gut and in my heart, it's not right for me anymore. but I continue to trudge on. I continue to trudge on. And I think there's so many ways to break that down, but for me, I grip so tightly to the fear of letting go. I grip on to what is so familiar and what is so easy for me to fall back into. It's like I'm so scared. It's what you just said, fear of the unknown. It's the fear of getting out there again and, oh my God, am I making the right decision? The uncertainty, I guess, for me is where I really, really feel that. Yeah, I think I grip so tightly to people and relationships. And that's always been, for me, the hardest for me in letting go, even when I knew it was the healthy choice.
Yeah.
I think I continue to stay.
Have you thought about what is, so like, let's just use, you don't have to do a specific example, but like in an example of some relationship you've had trouble letting go of, like, have you asked yourself, when you know that it's an unhealthy relationship, you know it's not serving you, right? You're not happy in it. Have you asked yourself, what is this relationship doing for me? How is being in this relationship still, even though I know it's not good, how is it serving me? Like, what am I getting out of it that is perpetuating this unwillingness to let go of the thing that I know is not good for me?
I think it's a cycle. I think my nervous system is just wired for that situation, for that relationship. I think that I've been wired for these ups and downs or these roller coasters. And I think because I've done this before, because once I get out and everything's real peaceful and calm and quiet, and it's uncomfortable at first because I'm used to the roller coaster, to the the back and forth, to the push and pull. And then when I'm out, it's like, oh shit, what's going on? Like, this is too quiet. There's no discord. There's no action. And I have been operating from a place of discord and dysfunction. And so when it's peaceful and quiet, that's uncomfortable. So that's right.
Absolutely.
Does that make
And
sense?
you just gave me the perfect segue into the next subject where we were going. Like, that was, did you plan that? That was the most perfect segue I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's how we always do this.
Okay.
It
So
always ends up
the
being
next question that we'd prepared that we were going to ask is, why do you think letting go feels like such a threat to our nervous system, even when we know we're ready? Right?
This is the $5 million question. So
yeah, you know I love talking about nervous
go
system
off,
stuff.
Melanie.
Yeah.
Go off.
So, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, author of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which I've just started, by the way, and it's so good.
Love it.
I'm like, I've got my highlighter and I'm like constantly, I'm basically highlighting the entire book.
Yeah.
Anyway, according to Joe Dispenza, the brain conserves energy by running on these predictable patterns. And it's wired for efficiency, not truth, right? So if we've thought, felt, or reacted the same way for years, and you have these patterns in place, these neural pathways that get super deeply entrenched, like a well-worn trail through the woods.
That's it.
So when we try to let go of something, a belief or behavior or an attachment or right? Or relation, whatever, it is as inefficient and unsafe is how your brain perceives it. So even though it's the right choice, because it's different from the efficient, predictable pattern and that well-worn neural pathway, the brain essentially equates that with a lack of safety.
Yeah.
Right? So even though peace is so much more of a pleasurable experience than chaos and conflict in a relationship, your brain is going to equate the different thing that doesn't fit the pattern with a lack of safety.
My therapist used to always say, he would say, Gina, give yourself grace because your brain was just protecting you all these years.
Yeah.
Your brain was actually doing what it's supposed to do, what it's wired to do. So it kind of let me off the hook a little bit. Like, I'm not crazy. I'm not different than thousands, millions of other people in the world that struggle with this letting go.
Right.
Right?
And even if you consciously know better, even when you consciously are like, why am I like this?
I logically know better.
Yeah.
But that back part of my brain takes over the emotional, like you said, like that part of my brain takes over for
I
sure.
remember, you know, when I first started getting into doing the limbic rounds.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
earlier
months
this
ago, earlier this year, when I started getting into that, Courtney Jacobs, who was on our episode 8,
Uh-huh.
she gave me a heads up, and she was like, as you're doing this work and you're rewiring your brain, it's going to feel really, really good for a while, and you're going to be on fire, and
Yes.
everything's going to improve. And she was like, and then you're going to go flat. You're going to hit a flat point, and you're going to get to the point where you're like, I don't want to do it.
I have
don't
experienced
want to
this.
do it. It doesn't feel
Yes.
good and juicy and yummy anymore.
Yes.
It feels flat.
I have
You're going to have
experienced
so
this.
much resistance. And she said that is 100% normal. It's a totally,
It is.
it's a predictable, normal part of the healing
Response.
process, because it's what your brain is doing. Your brain has begun that rewiring process, and it goes into immediate protection mode and resistance, going, no, 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 these are not the same predictable patterns. These are not the neural pathways we're used to. You're trying to forge new pathways, and that's not safe. We got to stick with what we know.
Yeah.
And she was like, just push through. You have to just push through when it gets hard, when you have resistance. She was like, push through, because just on the other side of that resistance, just on the other side of the part of you that's screaming to go back into the relationship, or to not take the big bold step and make a big change, to not let go of whatever the thing is that you're
Holding on
needing
to.
to let, that you want to let go of. If you can push past the resistance, just on the other side of it is that freedom. And when you do it, that's when your brain finally locks into place and says, okay, we're doing something new now. But you got to push through it.
Well, it's like the brain is a muscle. It's like any other muscle that you're trying to strengthen, right? It's like a physical workout routine, trying to stay disciplined with that, right? To see results. It's the same thing with the brain. If you could just do it long enough to hit that spot past the plateau, right?
Forge the new pathway.
Yeah, it's again easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because I'm 49 years old and I'm still, you know, there's still parts of my life that I struggle with letting go.
Yeah.
So
And your brain, and it's not just going to be, your brain is so powerful that it's not just going to be, you know, that it throws up a bit of resistance or like a lack of motivation to make the change. Your brain will actually produce feelings of actual fear, actual doubt, like full-blown self-sabotaging thoughts.
oh sure.
What if this doesn't work? Or who am I without this job or relationship? Or maybe the situation I'm in is not actually that bad, like those justifications.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You do that.
Yeah. So just be prepared. Like when you're going through this process of letting go of something big, whether it's a relationship or a job or a belief or any number of different things, just be prepared for as my mom said in the last episode, the yapping chihuahua. Be prepared for the yapping chihuahua to come in with all kinds of fear and doubt and self-sabotaging thoughts and resistance. And it's going to be about finding the inner strength and the will to push through it. Because you can get through to the other side, and the brain will rewire. It just takes that diligence, you know?
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what role do you think identity play in our resistance to release something or someone?
Yeah. Why don't you start with this one? Because you're going through a big thing with that right now.
Yeah. So what comes to mind for me right now is a complete 180 career change for me. So something fell in my lap about a month and a half ago. And I was already getting these feelings of like, something's going to have to shift. I've been at my same job for 12 years. You know, I have completely loved where I've been. I've been in the dental industry for actually 30 years since I was like 20.
It's been a dream job.
It has been a dream job. I have I love to go to work every day. Everybody that I work with is like family to me. Like we're literally this cohesive family. And if anybody's ever worked in a dental practice with a bunch of females, you know that that's hard with a bunch of personalities to not have any drama and things like we have.
It can either go really, really well or really, really badly.
Yeah, and I would say we are the exception because our office, people that come to work there, they stay. I mean, I'm actually one of the youngest people that have been there. Most people have been there longer than 17 years.
Wow.
And I was there 12. I've been there 12. But something fell in my lap, this career opportunity about a month and a half ago that I just couldn't ignore. And when something like that happens to you, and when something is placed in your view, in your lap, and you weren't even looking for it, even though my mind was already spinning and kind of like, okay, this isn't working anymore. This isn't serving me. What else is out there? What can I do? I am kind of capped out.
There was some restrictions in your growth potential where you were.
Correct. Correct. That is never going to change. That's just is what it is.
Yeah,
So
it's a small office.
it is a small office, and but still an amazing office, and we've made some great strides. But anyway, when this opportunity landed in my lap, I just could not ignore the calling. And so, I met, her for coffee, and we had coffee, and we talked for 2 hours, and everything just felt so right. And, I'd known this woman for a little while, and it just it got a whole mind of its own. And so through that, I am now have accepted another position with a financial institution, completely getting out of my comfort zone, out of complete 100% career change. And I am right now walking through this right now, this letting go, because it is scary. I am struggling with the loss of my coworkers, the loss of this career, because that's where it's been comfortable. I mean, I could do my job with my eyes closed, but how is that going to serve me going forward for the next 50 years of my life? If I have another 50 years, I'm halfway, I'm kind of a midlife right now. So
your whole, everything in your life right now is sort of kind of orbiting this subject of growth. And expansion. And even though the job you had was wonderful and in so many ways, and in many people, if you gave people the full bullet points of all the perks and things that you had in that job, so many people would be like, that's a dream job. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But there was no more room for expansion and growth for you in that. And I am personally so proud of you and so impressed with your courage to step away from the comfort zone, to step away from the familiarity and all those wonderful perks.
Yeah.
And step into something that matched this path that you're on, that's all about growth and expansion. And there are so many possibilities for you with this new choice.
I know. And I just cannot help but know it with every fiber of my being. And that's the thing. When you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, everything's easeful. Everything. Now, it did take me work to get a resume. I hadn't had to do a resume in 15, 20 years. It did take work to apply for this position because it's a financial institution. There's rigorous background checks. You got to get your fingerprints. You got to do countless interviews. I mean, it is a process. So I have had to put in the work.
And you've had to find the courage. You've had to face the fear of it.
Yeah.
And step into the courage instead, which isn't easy.
No, and I'm still scared because I'm walking into this new career. I don't know a thing. I'm going to be trained for the first 6 months, and I'm going to be from the ground up. I'm going to be a rookie. Yeah. But you have to start somewhere.
And it sounds like you couldn't ignore that hell yes of it. The hell yes.
Exactly. I could not ignore the hell yes of it. So that's kind of my job. My job. That's just kind of where I've been right now as far as the identity. But Melanie, talk about this question in your case and what you've had to let go of. And yours is actually kind of a career thing too.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've done it a couple of times, but back in 2013, that's when I had been in my acupuncture practice for many years at that point. I had an amazing practice. Man, I built that thing up from moving to a new city, not knowing a single person, and going from 0 patients and 0 contacts to treating 50 patients a week, working half days, hiking in the afternoons, triple booking rooms, just freaking killing it, having a blast, loving my job, making a bunch of money, and having clinical success rates that were through the freaking roof. Like, never had to spend a single penny on marketing. It was all word of mouth from excellent success rates. So you can imagine that was a really fulfilling career. I loved my job. And then my husband and I got married, and we moved from Phoenix, Arizona, where we were living, where my practice was, and we moved to Austin.
Came back home.
Came back home because we knew we wanted to start having a family right away, and my family is all here in Austin, and there was absolutely no way I was ever going to consider having kids without my family all around. And I had to walk away from that practice.
Yeah.
And again,
At
like
the height.
at the height of it. At the height of
You're
it.
doing so well.
And just like you said, it was a hell yes. It was the right choice.
Of
It was
course.
the obviously right choice, but it was really hard. And it was, and talking about letting go of that identity, the identity of me as the professional healer, me as the healthcare provider, me as the, I unlocked the doors in the morning and patients would just start streaming in and give me big hugs and tell me how much they loved me. And like, they were just so eager and excited to be there. And it was just such an incredibly rewarding thing. And I had built my identity around that. I wasn't, it wasn't that my job was an acupuncturist. I was an acupuncturist. It was who I was. And I was damn good at it. So it was an identity that really worked for me. You know, and we moved to Austin. I tried to build a practice here in the meantime while, you know, before we got pregnant.
Yeah.
And I did that for a little bit. I had home-based practice, but I never quite built it up to what I had in the Phoenix area.
It would take time.
And so that was really tough. That was really tough letting go of that.
Yeah.
But then my daughter was born. And I was able to step into my new identity. This new identity of my whole world is about being a mom now. I completely walked away from my practice at that point. I wasn't treating patients anymore. I treated patients all the way up until like the day before she was born. And then I was a full-time mom, and that was an incredibly fulfilling and incredibly satisfying job.
Of course.
And then life changes again. And then she gets old enough to go to school. And now I'm not, you know, being in full-time mom mode all day, every single day.
More freedom.
There's 8 hours a day where now what? At first it felt really good. It felt really freeing, but that was another kind of identity loss.
Of course.
And I'm obviously still a mom. And when she's in my physical presence, that's what my world is about.
Yes.
But yeah, there's multiple iterations of sort of having to relinquish the grip on the identity of what it is that you do and who you be and how you identify. I'll say that I've been willing to let it go in both of those cases because of the rightness of it. I knew, like, I can't stop my kid from growing up.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
So in my case, I don't think I had too much resistance, but I really can relate to the concept of having to step away from the thing that has been the center point of your identity and who you are.
And I think that takes courage. I think that takes a lot of courage. And so we've both kind of had those experiences at different times in our life, right? With different situations.
And here we are reforging new identities for ourselves in this particular moment, stepping into this show.
I'm a podcaster.
What? What?
2025.
Huh?
My role as a podcaster.
Yeah. And for me, what's been really interesting is, I was Melanie the healer as my identity while I had my practice for so long. And then I completely put Melanie the healer on the shelf while I was focused on raising my daughter. And because I was going through my own healing crisis, I was like, healer, heal thyself. And now coming out of that chronic illness
feeling
phase of my life, it's kind of interesting. Here we are doing this show, and I do honestly feel like I'm finally stepping back into that healer role. I'm just doing it in a different way.
Correct.
I'm
Just
not,
using different
I'm not doing
modalities.
hands-on body work. I'm using my voice. So on the one hand, I will say it feels really good stepping into that, but it feels like I'm stepping into it in a way that's more in alignment with who I am now.
Well, because we change, right? You're not who you were in 2013 when you started that acupuncture practice. I'm not who I was when I was married and had a toddler, had an infant. So we change,
And
right?
you just sparked a thought in me too, that, I mean, our identities are not fixed.
No.
Do you think there's a lot of people
Ever.
out there who think their identity is fixed, and that's part of why it's so hard to let go? Like they're
Probably.
like, this is just who I am. Like, how many times have you heard that?
Yes.
This is just who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you can change that at any point.
Yes,
Our
you can.
identities are not fixed. We are supposed to change
We are.
throughout our life.
Correct.
The point is not to figure out who you are, just stay that way forever. That's called stagnation.
We're supposed to be malleable.
Yeah,
we're supposed to
grow.
Correct. And that that includes lots of letting go.
Yeah.
Of old identities, of old relationships that don't serve you, of all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Can you think, Gina, can you think of a time when letting go actually expanded your life and you didn't even realize how much it was weighing you down until whatever the thing you let go of was finally gone?
I can think of lots of instances, but I think that what most recently has happened in the last few years of my life is, honestly, it's so funny because I have kind of been in and out of was in and out of a very dysfunctional relationship. And what I would notice is when I would break free from those ties and break free from that toxicity, it's so interesting because as soon as I would let go and really pour back into myself and pour back into Gina and find me again, it's like I would see all these miracles that would start happening. And I call them miracles because they truly are. But you have to be in tune to seeing them.
Yeah.
And so it's like as soon as I would let go, it's like literally the next day. And I would pray. I'd be like, God, please, just let this transition be easy. Lord, please heal my heart, heal my mind, heal my soul. Like I've got tons of journal entries where I'm just praying that exact prayer. And literally within a day or two, like something miraculous happened that was guiding me into this other way of my life. And so I think for me, the letting go expanded my life in just this. And I'm sure there are other instances that I'm not thinking of right now, but it's like instantly my life got better. It got enhanced. It got more blessings were pouring out onto me because I was listening. I was tuning in to God and to the Holy Spirit and to really getting back to myself. And so, and then I look back, like you say, like weighing you down, like I didn't even realize it was weighing me down. When I stepped away from it and I could think more clearly and see more clearly, I'm like, wow, like those miracles weren't happening when I was in that really dysfunctional and fight or flight and constantly, that's all I had the energy for. As soon as I removed my energy from that environment, it's like, whew, God has just been saving up all those blessings for me and miracles. And like, he starts shooting them down and it's like, hello, Gina. Like, and so, so that's the one thing that I can think of. And there's so many like specific examples. I don't want to get into all the meat of it. Maybe in another episode we'll get into that. That'll be really yummy.
Can I reflect a little bit on what you said?
Please.
So what that sounds like to me is that, in this case, right, you're letting go of these old situations and relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
And you have grown to a point where you are no longer in alignment with that person or situation.
That was. Mm-hmm.
In other words, you've climbed up on the vibrational ladder. You come into greater alignment with whatever it is that you're asking for in life. And what you said, where God's like, I got all this stuff for you, but you're still in the thing. You're still doing you're still committed to this relationship. You haven't let go. You haven't walked away.
Correct.
So you've grown, but you're still committed to this misaligned state. All you got to do let go and line up. Just let go and allow yourself to take that bounce into that higher vibrational state. And then you step into the alignment that you've been growing towards, and it all just shows up.
It all shows up. Every single time.
Yes.
It shows up.
It's an alignment thing.
Crazy.
I love it.
Melanie, so what about you? Can you
I got a
think
good
of
one.
Can you think of a time when like letting go actually expanded your life, but you didn't even realize it until it was gone.
I have a really good one.
Tell me.
So you remember I had another best friend.
Not your best friend.
Not
but-
my best friend. You're my best friend. But I had another best friend.
I'm kidding.
At least she lived in the same city as me. That was helpful.
She did.
I had another best friend. We were really, really close for about a decade.
Yep.
And in 2020, we parted ways. But what led up to it was that this is someone who, though I loved her dearly, and though she has always been an incredibly beautiful heart, beautiful soul, very
Fun,
very
loving, very fun.
very intensely compassionate person, just a really soft heart. She was also deeply wounded and someone who operated from a victimhood mentality at the same time. So I found myself as the healer, right? I was basically her emotional support animal
Pretty much.
for years and years and years. But I didn't know it. I couldn't see it. I was...
You never see it when you're in it.
I really didn't. And all the people in my life around me, maybe even you at some point,
At times.
were like, every time I would get off the phone with her, or every time I would be come home from spending time with her, I was just exhausted.
Emotionally.
Like, emotionally drained.
Mentally.
Physically too. I mean, she would just drain me. So even though we were having fun, and even though I loved her so much, she was just draining the life out of me by this incredible emotional neediness all the time.
Sure.
But I just kept giving and giving and giving because that's just who I am, and because I loved her, and because I justified it. I justified allowing myself to be in that situation because I loved her so much.
And you're a good friend.
I do my best.
You're a good friend.
And without going into the boring
Yeah.
details,
Yeah.
there came a moment in time
A situation.
where an opportunity presented itself for actually me and Gina to we were invited to go have an incredible adventure. And when I informed this other person about this, she got very, very angry. And instead of being supportive and loving about this opportunity that was presented to us, she felt very angry and left out and jaded. And it was in that moment that I realized this is someone who I have been pouring out to and giving and loving and supporting for years. And she can't be happy and support me in this thing that just plopped into my lap. I didn't plan it. It just arrived.
Sure.
And she can't be even happy or supportive for me to just have this lovely experience. And for the first time, that's when it really hit me, how unbalanced the relationship had become. And so I asked for a timeout. And when she didn't give me the timeout and she kept sucking and sucking and pulling the energy, I finally was like, we're done here.
Yeah.
Now, to my credit, for my whole life, I have always, when it comes to relationships, I have had no problem letting go once I realized that the relationship had hit its expiration date. But in this case,
That's a superpower. Because I don't have that superpower.
a lot of people don't.
It really is.
I think a lot of people don't have that.
I admire you for that. Because
Thank you.
I don't have that superpower.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about, like, I need to do a little bit more inner digging on why it is so easy for me to let go of relationships. I really don't understand it. But
Yeah.
But the point is once I'm aware that it's hit the expiration date, I'm like, bye, Felicia.
You're done. You
Yeah,
can literally.
in a loving way. It's not like I kick them out
course.
the door and be mean about it.
Of
I'm
course.
always ending relationships in the kindest, most loving way I possibly can. But it was amazing to me how long I let myself stay in this situation that I didn't know was draining me until I knew, right? And so when you talk about, you didn't even realize how much it was weighing you down until it was gone. When I ended that relationship, I didn't miss her.
You really didn't, did you?
I
That's
didn't
how
miss her
you
at
know.
all. And it's been 5 years and I still don't miss her.
That's how you know. That's how you know.
That's how you know.
That relationship's not serving you anymore.
All I felt was overwhelming relief.
That's how you know.
And I
That
still,
it was time to let go.
and I still love her. I still have nothing but love for her.
you can
When I
still-
think about her, I can still send love, and I really hope she's doing well, and I hope she's found peace.
Yeah.
And I hope she's grown and loves her life. I have nothing but love for her.
Yeah.
But I don't miss her. And I
that's
didn't
okay.
even realize how much I didn't even realize how much that relationship was weighing me down until I let it go.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So we both have kind of relational instances where the letting go has really expanded our life. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, how do you think we can start building the courage to let go when it still feels scary, like of the things that we are holding on to that are hard for us to let go of? Like, what do you think it takes to get to that point where you can? Like, where does that courage come from?
You know, I don't know if I have the answer to that, because I know that for me, I've really struggled with a lot of limiting beliefs in my life, and also like codependency issues. So it's hard for me to do things even when they're still terrifying. I think taking small little steps, into stepping into where you want to be. It may be something simple like writing affirmations. Like during one of my breakups, I had written to try to, I was still scared, of being by myself and being lonely again. A therapist had recommended that I write little love notes to myself, and I would place them on my mirror. I think I talked about this at one point, but just like almost like faking it until you make it, kind of, even though it feels uncomfortable and it's scary. I think little things that you can even do just to kind of to try to press in. Like I would write myself, I love you, Gina, or you are worthy, or you are lovely, or you're a good friend, and just have those things to kind of even when it felt scary, and even when I felt alone and was alone, and I was trying to get over these codependency situations, relationships. I think just little things like that kind of helped me, I know, to kind of step out and try to do something different than staying with that old version of me.
Well,
right?
I think of what that is what we've talked about in the past in terms of neuroplasticity. So like fear of letting go, well, what is that? Well, it's because you don't think you're going to be safe if you do, right? And so all those little things that you're talking about, journaling and the positive affirmations and the reminding yourself that you're worthy, reminding yourself of the little things that you do know.
Yes,
it's just that when
you
we're
do.
in the shit, we forget about it. Like it's
Correct.
it's hard to access that.
It is.
And what you're doing with each one of those little practices is it's a neuroplasticity exercise. You're reminding your brain, no, it's okay, we're safe. We're safe.
It's okay.
This is okay. We're safe. And with each one, as you habit stack, right?
Correct.
As you habit stack and you keep on retraining your brain out of those negative thought patterns and into a state of safety.
Yeah.
I think you're on it. Like I think you're totally nailing it. How do you get to the courage to let go of what you're afraid to let go of? It's stuff like that.
It's little things.
It's incrementally moving yourself in the direction of letting yourself integrate this idea that it's okay, you're safe.
Yeah, for sure. Melanie, so how do we know when we're ready to let go, or at least ready to begin the process of like loosening the grip of whatever is kind of tying us down? Like how, for our listeners, like how, or what's one way you've experienced like when you know that you're ready to let go, or you're ready to start trying to at least loosen that grip of something? What would be a good example for you?
For me, it's when I hit the threshold of how much discomfort am I willing to tolerate.
Yeah.
Like,
so you find yourself asking yourself that question when you're in like or is it just a feeling that kind of comes up when you're in the discomfort?
I think
I
think for me, it comes down, as somebody who doesn't struggle with like codependency and things like that.
Right.
For me, it comes down to self-worth and self-love.
It does.
I was a pathologically insecure person most of my life. Like put your child in therapy level of insecurity as a kid. And it's taken a lot of effort and a lot of work to outgrow that and to step into a version of me that has healed those old insecurity wounds. I'm still working on it. They still pop up every now and then.
course.
Like there's certain things that will kind of set me off, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I feel like I have stepped into a level of honoring the truth of who I am, recognizing my worth, recognizing my heart, and in a non-egoic way, loving myself enough that I'm not willing to put up with bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to put up with
Yeah.
people treating me badly. I'm not willing to just sit there and tolerate really
Disrespect.
or unpleasant situations. Like, no, like I'm here to live a good life, and I'm worked really hard to get to the point where I can enjoy my life.
Correct.
From an emotional standpoint.
You have.
So for me, how do I know when it's time to let go? Is when that threshold for discomfort gets enough where I'm like, we're done here.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Deuces.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. In relationships or whatever like that, if it's an interpersonal thing.
Yeah.
But for any situation where it's time, like I can even go here. Like one of the things that I'm still struggling to let go of is control. I like things to be a certain way. And for me, there is comfort and safety in things
Being orderly.
being a certain
in
way.
Mhm.
Well, you know what? I live with a 9-year-old and a husband, and they are not nearly as particular, I should say, about the way things need to be as I am. I can work myself into a frenzy and a tizzy, constantly trying to counteract their lack of concern over, the smudges on the glass coffee table and the crumbs everywhere and like my perception of the way that things ought to be that kind of conflicts with their perception. So I have two choices. I can either keep myself stuck in this control freak state where I'm the only one freaking out here. I'm the only one stressed out. I'm the only one bothered by the situation. Or I can recognize, am I willing to continue tolerating this discomfort? Like they're not being unreasonable. It's sort of like I'm the one being unreasonable with these ridiculous expectations. And so that's something that I'm stepping into letting go of more and more as time goes on is like, what if I could just chill the F out about this thing that, if I'm being honest, isn't a big deal. I'm the only one making it a big deal. And in the grand scheme of things, it's just not.
So you could just let it go.
I could just let it go.
You could just let it go.
So that's another example of like when the threshold of discomfort gets too high and I'm like, I'm the one making myself crazy right now. Okay.
Just
letting it go.
Letting it go and just being at peace with that.
So the more I practice it, the easier it's becoming. It wasn't easy for a very long time, but it's getting easier.
Yes. Melanie, so what have you learned about what's possible on the other side of letting go? Like whether it be emotionally, energetically, or even physically?
I love letting go of stuff. Like it's hard, like, using the example that I just gave, it's really hard to get to the point where I can let go. But once I have, it's like, I love the feeling of relief. I really, really, it's like one of my favorite feelings. The feeling of relief.
Fall in love with relief. I want to fall in love with relief.
I love that feeling. It makes me so happy. Like, to use a more lighthearted example, you've heard of Marie Kondo with if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it.
Correct.
Kind of thing.
She's like a she's like a house makeover, or she's
like a designer.
She's like a designer, and she goes into people's she has like a Netflix documentary, Marie Kondo.
So anyway, like she's the latest iteration of the value of not holding on to things that aren't serving you anymore. But something that I had learned a long time ago, and you'll remember this, is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yes.
And so how often do we just like chew on things like, am I going to keep this or am I not? Is this what I want or isn't it? Do I need to stay in this situation or this relationship or not? We just chew on it forever and ever and ever. What if it was as simple as, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no? How many things do you want in your life that you just sort of care about?
Yeah.
Or just sort of in alignment with you? Like, frankly, I would like everything in my life to be serving me or providing me with joy or contributing to my life in some way. And so with that whole, for many years doing this, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no thing, what I learned over time is I love letting stuff go. It is one of my favorite things. 2 times a year, I go through my closets and my drawers and everything. And I pull out stuff that I haven't worn yet. I have a twisty tie system. Have you heard about my twisty tie system? I don't think I made this up. I don't know where I got it though. So every year I take all my hangers, twice a year actually, and I turn them backwards on the hook or on the rod. So the hangers are facing backwards. So in
Okay.
order to get the item of clothing off that hanger, you have to like pull the hanger backwards. And then after you do your laundry and you put it back on the rod, you put it in the correct way. That way at the end of the year or the season, all of the hangers that are still backwards means you haven't worn that thing since the last time you did a purge.
Yeah.
And so what I'll do is I'll go through everything with a backwards hanger,
And
I will be honest with myself and say, am I really ever going to wear this again? If the answer is no, I throw it away. If I look at it and I'm like, do I still want this? And it's a hell yes. Like maybe it's something I just haven't had an opportunity to wear, but I really love it. I keep it on the backwards hanger and I put a twisty tie around the neck of the hanger and I keep it on backwards. Well, the next year comes around.
Yeah.
And if I pull that thing, if it's still on a backwards hanger and it's got a twisty tie on it, that means I haven't at this point worn it in 2 years. So I can choose put a second twisty tie on it or get rid of it.
yeah.
There's like 1 or 2 things in my closet that have like 5 twisty ties on them.
I love
But
that.
for the most part, it lets me know what I'm really not wearing. This thing is clearly in such a state of misalignment with me that I never choose to put it on. And then I let it go and it feels so good. I love that feeling of being like, bye Felicia to all this stuff that's not in alignment with me.
Yeah.
And I make my husband do it too. And he hates every second of it. I'm married to a pack rat. I'm someone who loves to let things go and I'm married to a pack rat. But like, that's my perception. Like, what have I learned about what's possible on the other side of letting go? It's like, it feels good. That relief. It feels like freedom. It feels like more space. It feels like making space for something better to come in.
Yeah.
And that applies to relationships and jobs
Absolutely.
and clothes and everything else in your life that you haven't been willing to let go of. What if letting go of the thing that you're unwilling to let go of is exactly what you need to make space for something better to come in?
I love that. I think it's true. So true.
What about you?
Well, I just have the example of then when you taught me kind of about the letting go of more simple things like clothes, like when we were roommates and we lived together and we would go out and we would go shopping together and I'd bring something to you and be like, hey, do you like this? Is this, I mean, like, I kind of like it. And you would ask me, you'd be, again, going back to what you talked about, you'd be like, is it a hell yes? Like, do you love it? Does it spark joy? Like, this was before the Marie Kondo days.
Yeah.
Like, this was like you going, but do you love it? And I'd look at it and be like, no, okay, then put it back. And so I learned to not be frivolously spending and buying things that I was just kind of like, on the fence about. So now, when I go shopping and I'm intentional, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
I love it.
And so anyway.
What if we could do that in relationships?
That's a
What if
bigger order. That is a bigger order for me.
yeah.
For me.
But what if?
Oh yeah. No, possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
I love it. So just for our listeners, we're going to wrap this up here. We've we're almost at an hour.
We're almost at an hour.
Yes. If someone listening, right now is on the edge of letting go, but scared to leap, what would you want to say to them? Like from your heart.
Yeah. That letting go isn't about loss. It's about making space for something greater. And that's important. It's such an important thing. Like we think of it as a loss, as something we're grieving. But as long as you're holding on to that which you're not in alignment with anymore, that which you would choose, that you want to be in alignment, the things that you desire that you're asking for in your life, they can't come in because you're staying stuck in this old vibration with this old stuff that's not serving you anymore. You've got to let it go in order to step into something better. And that also, we talked about how it takes courage to let go. There's a lot of fear involved in it that has to be faced, but courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to step forward and take action and step into the fear. It's moving forward even when there is fear. That's what courage is.
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was going to say to you guys is just, even though you're scared to let go, do it anyway. Like do it even in the presence of fear, even when because like that little part inside you, that intuition, the gut, God gave that to us for a reason. That's our compass. That's our own moral compass. And so you know when something's not in alignment. You know when it's time to let go. You know that you're holding on due to other reasons, factors, fears. But my advice would just to be, just do it scared. Do it anyway, even when you're scared.
And just as a final closing thought, I would like to acknowledge and honor you, because that you are doing that right now.
I
in
am.
multiple areas of your life.
I'm
You are
trying.
making big changes, even though it's scary, and you are stepping into it and forging a new path forward. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. And I would say that's where the faith comes in. I would say, I don't know what the next year is going to look like with this career change. I don't know how it's going to look day to day, but my faith and knowing that I'm making the right decision is what is carrying me.
Yeah.
And again, doing it, still being scared, but still doing it.
You're nailing it, girl. You're nailing it.
We're both nailing it.
Yeah. Friends, if you have enjoyed this episode, it would be the best way to support us if you would just take one little second and go down and hit that little button, whatever platform you're on. Sometimes it's like, sometimes it's follow or subscribe or whatever. Just hit the button. That's all you got to do.
And
Right
give
there.
us-
It's super easy, and it's the best way to support us.
And just give us a review. Tell us what you thought. We want to hear feedback. We want to hear like, you guys are goofy, or that was dumb, or I didn't like that comment, or I loved it, or it inspired me.
Or
like,
you resonate with the message,
Yeah,
or whatever. Let us know what you're in the process of letting go of. Let us know what tools or what little techniques work for you to let go of things that are hard to let go of. Also, if not all of these platforms have the option for you to add comments and message us directly, but if you'll follow us on our socials, and all of those socials links are in the show description. If you'll follow us there, you can connect with us on Instagram and Facebook and X and all the different places we're at. Send us a DM. We
Absolutely.
really love to engage with you. So we hope you enjoyed today's show,
Yes.
and we are looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.